welcome back to the Innerd Podcast, where you get to embrace your inner nerd. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon.
And I'm your host, Aaron.
We're a little giggly today. It's been a while since we've done this as a recording.
Do you notice that every time that we start an episode, you make this, like, incel face?
Baking powder, what?
I mean, I can't demonstrate it for the viewers, but you do, like, this one eyebrow up and your eyes get all squinty and you're almost, like, halfway to just going, like, hello, princess.
I was thinking about it. I thought about doing a bit, but I was like, I don't know.
But you do it, like, almost every episode, or at least whenever you host.
Well, it's also become a habit of, like, whenever I'm recording for my channel, I resort to the pretty princess voice. So I didn't want it to get annoying, but yeah, I thought about it.
We're back.
We're back.
It's been some time.
Yes. Not quite. Wait. I had something lined up. I forgot. Anyways, yes, we're back.
We don't need to go into the details as to why we were gone for so long. I mean, it's typical stuff, reprioritizing, responsibilities.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that the podcast kind of came last.
Yeah.
We're going to be wrapping up this first season with only a couple more episodes that will probably be scattered between now and probably the end of October. And then we'll be taking a hiatus and then probably come back end of January, beginning of February of 2026.
I would say what we can guarantee is the second season. But as of the remainder of this season, I just based on what we've discussed, I don't know if it's anything we can promise, just for the sake of because the end of this season, we only want to make episodes that we think are going to be good. So after this, if we don't think there's going to be a good episode,
I mean, I would say the same should probably go for season 2.
Yeah,
because the whole point is that we don't want to do the podcast unless we feel like we're having fun,
right?
Or talking about things that we think are worth talking about.
Yeah.
But just going on about the same, personal life drama in the beginning of each episode, or talking about things that we're potentially going to be arguing about.
Right.
It's, no one wants to listen to that. So unless we have topics that we want to talk about, or unless we have activities that we want to do, that's what we're going to be aiming for. And then what we can promise that next season is that between now and the end of January or beginning of February of 2026, we're going to be trying to do what we can to have at least a bare bones visual setup. So we will be going visual for anyone who likes visual podcasts. It won't be anything elaborate. We won't be having like high-res cameras and stuff like that, but we will at least have something so that if we need to demonstrate anything visually or just want to have more energy that way, I guess, we will be able to do it.
I did kind of want to do like a part 2 of, because we sort of started off this podcast with our beta episode with doing like a 3-piece movie review kind of thing.
Right.
Because we saw, what was it? It was Deadpool and Wolverine, Crow, and
Alien Romulus.
And there are 3 movies that we had in mind of talking about, but one of them we haven't seen yet, surprisingly, which is extremely frustrating, both for the podcast and for us as fans of said.
You're talking about Fantastic Four.
Yeah, because we wanted to do Superman, Fantastic Four, and 28 years later.
Right.
We saw Superman, and we were able to see 28 years later, way after it came out, but
unfortunately not in theaters.
Yeah. And then we wanted to see Fantastic Four, and for some reason, none of our schedules have really lined up to give us the capability to go see that.
There were a couple times that we almost went.
Yeah.
One of them, we had family over and we were like, hey, like this might be a good weekend. Like we could go see it, but we ended up just not going.
Yeah.
And since then, I've kind of gotten to the point to where if it comes out on Disney Plus, I'll watch it there.
Is it even in theaters anymore?
I don't know. I think Superman got a prolonged release, and it even overlapped with its digital release.
Right.
But I don't know about I haven't really kept tabs on Fantastic Four. It kind of came and went for me.
I will say something that I'm extremely surprised about, which I'm probably jinxing myself when I say this, is although I've been careful on social media for spoilers, I haven't seen anything like detrimental. Is that the right word? Terrible with English.
Anyway.
But anything that's so bad to the point where I'm like, fuck, the whole... or sorry, but the whole movie just ruined for me.
Right.
Because we've had that issue a lot lately to where a lot of comic book movies come out and we see like one thing and it kind of ruins the whole experience. But Fantastic Four, no. I think I saw one still frame of something that I knew was in the movie, but it wasn't like, that doesn't really like kill the magic for me or anything. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I don't think I've seen any like 100% spoiler.
I'd say it's the same for me. I haven't seen anything that, like specific moments were spoiled. I have seen clips of, the middle of action sequences and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've seen some, glimpses of Galactus, whatnot, but no like specific, important beat or moment has been spoiled. But again, based on how it reviewed and just what I've heard from other people, it doesn't seem like it's very noteworthy. I've heard good things about the movie, but I've also heard that it's kind of like you can miss it. It's one of those Marvel movies that have come out in the past, few years that you can miss it and, go on to the next movie without watching it, or you can watch it. And
I've seen this weird trend with movies lately to where if you constantly see advertisements for it saying this is like a #1 movie in America or in the world or whatever, typically it's not. No, I'm just saying, like, every single time that I see a movie that says this is the #1 movie in America or something like that, it's usually a movie that I don't hear much about. And then if it's a movie that doesn't get that much hype, it's usually like, man, this movie's phenomenal.
Right.
Which is funny because like Fantastic Four was supposed to be such like a groundbreaking thing for the new generation of Marvel movies. But yeah, I haven't heard anyone talk about it.
And I mean, with all that to the side, with the exception of Superman, I have been paying attention to movie releases lately, but they've been for much smaller scale movies.
Yeah.
And also video games. I've been paying more attention to video games this year, only because there's been a handful that I've like genuinely looked forward to this year.
Right.
Most notably games like Death Stranding 2, Chronos: The New Dawn, Hell Is Us, which I would like to maybe ramble about on one of this season's last episodes. But I'm waiting for you to play Chronos for me to kind of ramble about those things.
And you know what, Aaron? I was really hoping to. Me and you both, we together went through the process of pre-ordering the game, and it wasn't until its release or initial release when we both found out that it doesn't come out on PlayStation till the 19th. As of right now, it's...
Well, yeah. So physical release for PlayStation, which is the only platform that's getting a physical release,
right,
won't be until the 19th.
And it's currently the 13th, which is how many days after it came out?
a week.
Yeah. So, and I can't tell you how disappointing that was because I'm sitting there waiting for the phone call from GameStop, and then I called them and I'm like, hey, like, am I getting my game? And they're like, did you pre-order it for PlayStation? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah. So, I mean, I also wanted to do like a small ramble video on my channel that was kind of like, my thoughts on Chronos as a Dead Space fan or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wanted to go through all of the things I liked about the game. I wanted to talk about my thoughts on general reviews I've seen about the game and how my thoughts might compare to those reviews. And then I also wanted to just throw out some of the things like what is going on with your physical release. Mm-hmm. There's games like Alan Wake that there was an understanding that it's only releasing digital, and then they came out not long after being like there will be a physical release, but it won't be until the game's probably had its time in the spotlight for a little bit. But there was no news about what was going on with the release about this game. We only understood that it was coming out on all platforms on September 5th.
Yeah.
And that if you pre-ordered the game digitally, then you would have early access to it 48 hours prior. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until we went into GameStop the first time that they were like, or I said I was pre-ordering it for Xbox, and he said he couldn't find it, which is weird because at the Xbox showcase, they showed Chronos the New Dawn.
Right.
So it's like, well, it's going to be on Xbox. And when he looked it up, it had an availability for PlayStation. And then you look it up, and yep, PlayStation was the only platform getting a physical release for it. Doesn't make sense, but whatever. And then, like you said, lo and behold, yeah, it's getting a physical release, but not until more than a week later.
Yeah.
What is going on with that?
Right.
Anyway, so hopefully when you get the game, whether you beat it or just get to a point to where you feel like you can share some thoughts, I'd like to go over that with you. But I actually have a lot of really good to say about the game.
Well, I'm glad you do, because it'd be kind of disappointing to be 2 weeks late to play the game just to already know that you have a negative opinion about it, but you don't, which is very enlightening.
But anyway, so Brandon, it turns out that you have an activity for us today.
Yes, I want us to be able to have, like you said, a little more fun with this podcast and not just listen to you go on and on. And I'm just kidding.
Says you.
Says me. So today, I have a decent list of movie trilogies.
Okay.
And we might not go through all of them. And I was debating on some franchises that don't have 3 movies. Some of them only have 2.
Duology.
Oh, I didn't know the name for that. But I would like to get to those at some point. And again, I think I'm going to save some of these for a future video, possibly. Mm-hmm. But because we'll be talking about 3 movies each, there should still be a hefty enough list for us to make.
Okay, what are we doing?
All right, so what I want you to do,
okay,
and I might chime in too, but it's primarily for you, is that I'm going to give you a movie trilogy, and you're basically just going to tell me your ranking of it. When I say worst to best, not like just because it's the worst out of the trilogy. It's not like a bad movie. It's just what you consider to be the least good out of the 3.
So you're going to give me like a trilogy, and I'm just going to be like, from worst to best, this is my opinion of the 3 movies?
Yeah, and you can get as in depth or as vague as you want about each one.
Okay.
But so this episode, they're going to be they're not old, but they will be the older generation of nerdy or superhero movies.
Okay.
So, with that being said, we're going to start off with the Blade trilogy.
The Blade trilogy.
Yes, and I'm not just referring to the movie called Blade Trilogy, which is stupid, by the way.
No, Trinity.
Oh, it was Trinity. I always think it's called Trilogy. Every time I have a conversation with someone, they always call it Trilogy, too.
It's Trinity.
I know, but I think there's like a Mandela effect going around where people think the third one's called Trilogy.
Gotcha.
Anyways, or maybe I'm just an idiot.
So the Blade trilogy, is, I mean, no, I think there's a pretty universal opinion about this trilogy. The third one's the worst one.
You say that, not the last thing you said, but the universal part. You say that, but I've heard two different versions that seems to be pretty balanced.
Yeah,
of people's opinion.
The one I'm going to say is probably like the most common for people who have seen the trilogy.
Okay.
The third one's the worst one.
Oh, by far.
It's objectively a bad movie.
Right.
It's not taken care of at all. Any kind of passion that was put into the previous movies does not show in the third movie at all. Mm-hmm. It's purely just an attempt to make money. The third one's just bad.
Yeah.
I would say in the middle is the first movie. And normally I'm like the first movie of a trilogy or a franchise is usually the best.
Right.
Which can be said about a lot of things, but the first one is a good movie. It's a really well done movie. I would just say that there's things that haven't aged as well. The antagonist isn't as interesting as the second movie.
And which is interesting you say that because a lot of people like the antagonist of the first one more.
I'm sure that's probably the case, but again, this is my opinion.
Right.
And I think it just falls short in some like plot elements, I guess. But, and as a lot of people know, it has like the most iconic intro.
Yeah.
But in first place is the second movie.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro's take on Blade is the best. Character development of the second movie is the best. Interesting antagonist, interesting plot thread of like the enhanced infection. I forgot what they were called. It's been a while.
I always want to call them hybrids, but then I think that's Underworld.
Yeah, and but they're the more like infected type of like they're vampires that are more like manufactured in a way.
And they're vampires that feed off of other vampires.
Right.
Like, they don't like vampires.
And it's all just, but it all still, even though it's very Guillermo del Toro, and there are a lot of very practical things that feel really good and make the movie feel more authentic, it still feels like Blade. Mm-hmm. And it did a lot to improve on the first movie while still feeling very comic booky.
Yeah.
It's just, and of course, the most important part, it's the best written movie.
Yeah.
And yeah,
so my ranking for that is the same. And honestly, I never knew that Guillermo del Toro did the second one.
Oh.
Which now that you say that, I'm thinking back at the movie and it's very like you see it.
Yeah.
Like his flair is.
Yeah, his stamp is like all across that movie.
Right, which makes total sense now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree. Third one, terrible. First one is...
I mean, Blade 2 is the reason Hellboy exists.
True. But I mean, so I think that what I really like about the first movie is that it set the standard. Like, I mean, most trilogies that is the case. But it really set a standard of what Blade was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And
it gave enough for subsequent people to work off of.
Right. And like the second one carries a lot of that stuff over. Especially being very emo and like very
early 2000s,
like late 90s, early 2000s version of like emo and punk and edgy and stuff like that.
The quote unquote underground.
But it works really well with Blade.
Right.
And yeah, the second one, it felt a little more Marvel. And when I say that, I don't mean like modern day Marvel. I mean like just like you said, comic booky, very like what I think a Blade movie should be, seeing that it's based off of a comic book character.
Yeah.
Not saying you can't have more grounded stuff, and I'm sure a very grounded Blade movie would work very well. Mm-hmm. But just for the sake of that time and whatnot, I think it was the best Blade movie. And sure, it is kind of corny. Like, I've rewatched it not too long ago, and it is a very corny movie. But especially at that time, there's a certain je ne sais quoi about it being a little corny.
And I say this about this word for me comes up a lot when I'm talking about Guillermo del Toro's movies. But the second one has a great sense of fantasy to it. It's got this big fantastical edge to the movie that wasn't in the first and is poorly done in the third movie.
Right.
That only Guillermo could do. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's with all of that being said, second movie's, in my opinion, and I think not just my opinion, just objectively, the second one's the best one.
Right. So, moving along with some of like the older generation comic book stuff and nerd stuff, I'm going to actually get this one out of the way just because I think we might have more of negative things to say about it. Mm-hmm. And also, I don't think it's as old as some of these other ones, but again, I think we should just get it out of the way. The Christian Bale Batman trilogy.
Okay, so...
Which I think we'll still have a similar opinion, but...
For people who are listening, we're probably going to lose a few of you here. Because in this household, in this family, I'm notorious for hating a lot of what Christopher Nolan's Batman movies do.
Right.
More specifically with Batman himself.
Yeah.
And then also just as important, a lot of the villains in the movies.
Right.
But if I'm gonna try to be like, devil's advocate, look at it with an open mind. Again, third movie is the worst one.
Yeah.
I think it's just not as strong as a movie. I do want to get one thing out of the way. Christopher Nolan knows how to write and he knows how to direct movies. Mm-hmm. So the movies are always going to look great. They're always going to be taken care of and the production value is going to be really high. All of that, let's just get that out of the way, is top notch. Even with a lot of Christopher Nolan's older movies when he had much smaller productions, still same applies. But I'm purely just talking about when it comes to Christopher Nolan's movies, mm-hmm. I'm purely talking about how he handles the characters and in terms of how they relate to the comic books or their predecessors. That's more in the direction that I'm going. And then maybe some, qualities of what's written that might be stronger than others. Mm-hmm. With that being said, the third movie is the worst one. Bane sucks.
Yeah.
And there's a reason he's memed on after all of these years. Tom Hardy's not a bad choice for a villain like that, but I don't know. I think he's one of those actors that, just because Christopher Nolan's worked with him so many times before doesn't mean he was the right part for Bane. And then there's just Bane, the fact that he's nothing like the comic book version, and I think is less interesting than the comic book version of Bane. Mm-hmm. They've yet to do a comic book accurate version of Bane that's just as interesting. Bane was supposed to be someone who was born in a Mexican prison,
Right.
and raised in prison, experimented on, breaks out.
Right.
And Bane is purely just supposed to be like a figure of chaos, not revenge, not super militarized in any way. He's just supposed to be like a one-man shit show.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of Bane's like personality and design and stuff revolves around his heritage.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be Hispanic. He's supposed to be based on like a luchador.
Yeah.
That's why he looks the way that he does. And also Venom is a big part of Bane.
Yeah.
At least the later, like more modern day version of Bane. Mm-hmm. And just none of that shows. They could have easily given this character a completely new name. And Christopher Nolan probably could have been proud enough to say, like, I made an original bad guy for my version of Batman. Because, sure, maybe it hadn't been done a lot at that point, if at all, maybe. I mean, James Gunn's done it, where he's, like, writing characters for the sake of a movie.
Yeah.
And if they're disposed of, or maybe if they don't matter as much as other characters from the comic books, then who cares?
Right.
And I think this would have been an interesting opportunity for Christian Bale to be, or not Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan to be like, this is my own creation for Batman.
Right.
And I think the movie could have had a very different response and reception. And Bane probably wouldn't even... I mean, he'd still be memed on, but the association between him and the comic books would have been very different.
Yeah.
Anyway, and hell, maybe if DC were taking notes from Marvel, they would have created a new character in the comic books based on Christopher Nolan's character.
Yeah.
Anyways.
There's also another version of Bane, or another... Yeah, like another version of Bane in a separate form of media that wouldn't have taken inspiration off of the Christopher Nolan Bane.
The Harley Quinn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he looks and has everything that the comic book Bane has, but his voice is very Iron Bane.
Yeah, he's deliberately supposed to be making fun of.
Right. Which is just annoying.
So, even though... Okay. This I'm just going to be done with the third movie because there's a lot I could bitch about with that movie. But this next point that I'm going to get to is where I'm going to really lose a lot of people.
Okay.
I think the second movie is like the middle.
Yeah.
The only reason that movie is good as it is and why people remember it as well is because of the Joker.
Yeah.
The Joker carries that movie.
By far.
Two-Face, in my opinion, is forgettable.
Okay.
Batman's place in the movie is forgettable. And I've always kind of had like a joke that I make to myself whenever I think about this movie, that Lucius Fox is more Batman in the movie than Bruce Wayne is Batman in the movie. But Heath Ledger's Joker... And it's not just because Heath Ledger, passed away or whatever. His performance is the movie.
Right.
But if you took him out or if you recasted him, I don't think the movie would be as strong.
Okay.
And that's the only real thing I can say about that movie. And then my last point, the first movie I think is the best one. Not only do I think I wouldn't say it's super comic book accurate, but it's the closest to like the comic book Batman. He's got a more comic booky suit. They're not so super fixated on like him being tactical and militarized as he is in the later movies.
Yeah.
I think the suit looks the best. And it's definitely scarier than the second iteration with the really tight neck and weird helmet cowl thing he's got going on.
Right.
I really like the more Gotham that the first one does. It's a lot of like, steamy rooftops and,
trains that run through the sky.
Right. Like Gotham's like more, sure, it's more CGI to make Gotham look like Gotham, but it just feels more, here's that word again, fantastical.
Yeah.
And Scarecrow, I think, is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Heath Ledger is like a big stamp on the trilogy, but I really like Scarecrow. Especially because how he's kind of incorporated with Batman in the movie, and Batman even having a scene where he's using fear toxin in a way.
Right.
I really like the backstory of, them really going deep into the whole
League of Assassins.
I think in the movie they call it League of Shadows, right?
I think so.
It's called something different. Sure, they do switch up Ra's al Ghul's background a little bit, which I think is fine. Mm-hmm. They make it to where he's kind of like hiding as a trainer of sorts, and
like he's the true master, and the one that you believe is Ra's al Ghul is a puppet.
Yeah. Like I'm kind of okay with that. It's a better version of how they did the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I really just liked. I think they could have even gone further in Batman's creation, and Christopher Nolan could have been that one director to dive into how there was more training other than the League of Shadows or the League of Assassins before he did all that physical training.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne has done training in India where he learned not to feel pain or fear. Mm-hmm. Some versions of him, he like disguised himself as like an apprentice in Gotham PD's police force so that he could like learn detective skills. And sometimes he's learned detective skills in other ways.
Yeah.
In really old depictions of Batman, like 70s depictions of Batman, he was in a circus so that he could learn how to get out of traps and stuff.
Yeah.
I think there was a missed opportunity for there to be like a little bit of an insinuation of him learning skills elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I think they really wanted to dive into the fact that this version of Batman was kind of like a ninja, mm-hmm. or utilize skills of a ninja, which is not bad.
I like that idea, mm-hmm. like where like all of the really like all the discipline and all of the vigilante stuff kind of came from his sources of being a ninja.
Yeah.
But then he learns his other skills from other places, but they just forgot to mention those other things.
Right. And I really like the first movie's push on the version of Batman that doesn't kill people, and how he learned in a weird way. It's kind of like it's more of like a context clue thing of how he has to learn how to kill people to not kill people.
Yeah.
You train the ways of a ninja and stuff so that you can defend yourself and defend others from highly skilled people and predators and stalkers of the night kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think all of that's really interesting. And there's things like that are kind of more comic booky, mm-hmm. that they could have pushed in later movies, but they got more fixated on specific plot lines or specific characters to where a lot of that gets pushed out of the way.
Yeah.
Which that's why I think the first movie is just overall the best one.
Right.
But the second movie has the best soundtrack.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's got like the best version of Batman's theme song. It's got, the kind of music that plays when the Joker's involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to go off of what you're saying, so obviously we clearly agree on this. I don't really have much more to say about the third one that you haven't already said. I will say they did try to mention that Bane was born in a prison because he was born in that hole. That they that whatever that hole was. Not till this day, I'm still not sure what that is. It was like a prison that Ra's al Ghul made himself, I think. Whatever, but that movie has so many plot holes. Like what that hole is and what its affiliate has to.
It's been a really long time since I've seen the trilogy.
Yeah.
But didn't they call that the Lazarus Pit?
I don't know.
I don't remember how they incorporated the Lazarus Pit, but I remember it. I think the name got thrown around at one point in rather the first or the third movie.
I don't know, but then they also made the insinuation that Ra's al Ghul himself had been, if I remember correctly, that he has been living for a long time.
Yeah.
But they never state how.
See, that's why I'm confused. Like, I think somewhere in the first movie they kind of throw that detail out. Or they said it like the puppet version of...
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe they were saying that he had lived forever from the Lazarus Pit.
Gotcha.
But maybe the real Ra's al Ghul didn't live forever.
Because I know that they kind of had like an origin story for him in the third movie.
Kind of.
But anyways, it was a weird movie. Don't like it. Don't like Bane. Don't like any of it.
Really. Oh, and like Bane's version of the Venom was like some...
It's
like,
nerve medicine. It basically, he had apparently he developed a disease where his nerves are on fire all the time. So he takes this like inhalant that
so he doesn't feel pain or anything.
Right. That's stupid. Anyways, I
will give it to Christopher Nolan for trying to do the back-breaking thing. Or he did break his back.
But. Yeah. See, like a lot of the right things are there. It was just done wrong.
Yeah.
But for the second movie, I for the most part agree with you. Mm-hmm. There is one thing. I personally really liked Two-Face. Especially revisiting other forms of media of Batman that have Two-Face in it, and then looking back at the Dark Knight movie, he checks all the boxes. You know, there's Harvey Dent who, like, he wants to do the right thing and he wants to go by the book. He does show that there's a side of him that's, like, hiding a little bit. But he, as Harvey Dent, is trying his best to make sure that monster doesn't, like, release itself. And then due to one bad accident, which involves a character that doesn't exist in the comic books, may I add, then, yes, he becomes Two-Face.
Right.
And even when he is Two-Face, I still really like him. He checks all the boxes for me. I don't think I have any complaints.
I think my problem with him though is his whole story was written around
Rachel.
Yeah. And that's where it loses me. Similar reason to where people don't like Dead Space 3 because of the love triangle thing.
Yeah.
The movie loses me with the whole Bruce is after Rachel, but Rachel is marrying someone. Because then it feels a lot like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like a really non-emotional version of that.
No, I agree. That would probably be my gripe if I were to say anything.
Yeah, and the fact that
no, you're fine.
Like Two-Face having more of a love revenge thing. Save that for like Mr. Freeze or something.
Yeah, but overall, like take Rachel out of it, and you have Two-Face. Like there's really I personally don't think that there's anything wrong with him. And he shows that like there is not just Harvey Dent anymore. There's two different sides to one coin.
Right.
And even the whole coin thing, like they made it very solid thing. They were like, look, a two-faced coin. They're like, that's pretty unique. And it's like already gives you this nod to something that like a tragedy.
I do really like the fact that they leaned into the coin, him having like the revolver, the split, not only his face, but like his suit. I really like how good the CGI looks, and just that really nasty, like fried meat look,
like the dehumanizing look.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all really good. It's purely just how he's written that pulls me out of it.
I also really liked how Bruce saw Harvey, because like if you look at like The Long Halloween or Dark Victory, or
they're close personally.
They are close, but Bruce always saw Harvey Dent as the man that he wanted to be, and like if justice was going to be done the right way, he would hope that he did it like Harvey Dent would. Right. And you still see that too. Like Bruce Wayne shows himself to be an asshole like throughout the whole movie, which is the point, and Harvey gets the wrong end of that every now and then, but Bruce still states that Harvey is a good man, and he wishes he could be like him. And so when the tragedy does happen and you have to unfortunately see this good man fall, it tugs all the right strings, at least for me personally. But yes, I do think that Rachel is the biggest issue of it all. Just because she was purely meant to be there as like something for Bruce in the first movie. And I guess the second, but it was all done the wrong way. And I think that's something that you shouldn't be focusing on with Batman. There's other things you're supposed to be focused on.
I've never really cared. They do it in a lot of the Batman movies, but I never really care about Batman having a love interest.
I only care when it involves Selina Kyle.
If they can do it right.
I like them hinting that he had a relationship with Talia al Ghul. Like they did in Arkham City.
Yeah, like past loves are cool.
Right. And then I do like a teased, like a potential love between Bruce and Selina Kyle. Like something that's not official. Kind of like how they did in the Tim Burton movie.
So more like sexual tension.
Sure. I would say that there is still chemistry there between them.
Yeah.
But like in Tim Burton's, I think they made it a little too sexualized. But I would like to see it to where there's a lot of physical chemistry between them, and that Bruce, like based on how he talks and everything, it's clear that Selina is kind of pulling on a certain string that, like, if he had the opportunity to, maybe he doesn't have to be alone for the rest of his life.
Right.
But I also like the idea of Selina every now and then, like when she looks at Batman or Bruce, she's like putting on this face, but then she turns away and she's like, he's kind of making me feel the same way too, but I'll never tell him.
Right.
So that would be nice. And that's something that we didn't get from the Catwoman in the Christopher Nolan movies, by the way.
No.
I did not like.
Done very well, though, with the Matt Reeves Batman.
Oh, yeah. Very well. And then the first movie. Oh, I also just wanted to throw a shout out. Heath Ledger's Joker. I think I gave him a lot of crap when it first came out. But looking back on it, it's like, he did a lot right. Sure, I could get nitpicky about like his origin and how he became the Joker.
Yeah.
But they also kind of did a thing to where it's hard to tell what his origin is. Because every single time he talked about his scars, the story was different. And I'm not even sure he knows how he became the Joker, which is kind of nice because if you think about it, that's kind of like the Joker. The Joker, he remembers a time of a man he once was, but he doesn't see himself as that man. He sees that as a separate person.
I do like, I'm not sure if they intended on it or not, but I do like that the Heath Ledger Joker kind of gives off the it only takes one bad day
right
kind of vibe. Because on the note that you're going with about how he might not even know how he became the Joker, like it doesn't take a lot for someone like him or someone like Batman to just flip a switch and lose it all.
And looking back on it, I used to think like, is it him wearing makeup to have white and all the clown stuff on his face, or is when he didn't have makeup on, if that was makeup.
Are you talking about in the Christopher Nolan movie?
Yeah.
He's wearing makeup in the movie.
Well,
like the white and the red is makeup.
See, that's the thing, though, because some people have discussed how there's times when his face is white and he's got the clown stuff on his face. The white parts, sometimes it looks like there's makeup being taken off of the white.
Yeah, but the rest of his body is,
true
skin tone.
Yeah.
And if I'm remembering correctly, there's a part where he puts lipstick on, isn't there?
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I know for sure the white and the red is makeup. I mean, and his hair is definitely dyed.
That's true. Yeah, that is one thing that I did give credit to for the Jared Leto Joker, is that at least his origin was.
I have some specific notes on that one, and I think I over-defended that Joker for a long time, but there are some things that I still stand by.
That's fair,
and it all really just has to do with his origin,
and
how he kind of fits into the DCEU.
And then quickly going over to the first movie, I have all the same notes that you did. I think it's the best one. It's the one that I willingly rewatch a lot, just because it's like the most Batman out of the whole trilogy.
And there is and another interesting thing about Scarecrow being the villain of the first movie is there's a big emphasis on fear.
Yeah.
Where like Scarecrow uses it to torment people while Batman uses it to,
in the end of the day, save people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is they also went through these like certain levels of things that you usually don't do with other comic book movies, or like if you're trying to make a grounded, quote unquote, grounded comic book movie, you wouldn't do. But like the whole sequence of the fear Batman, or like the nightmare Batman, where his face is all like slimed and melting and everything, like you don't see that a lot, or things like that in the other movies. And sure, there's no reason for you to, but like it's just stuff like that that really like grabs you, especially as a Batman fan. And they had like all the perfect nods to like Victor Zsasz and all this other stuff. And when it came to the whole decision making of Bruce deciding that he's not going to kill people, it was nice to see how, because sometimes certain heroes have to go through like a life lesson to make that decision. And although he kind of had one with Rachel, like he debated on killing someone way before he left Gotham in the beginning.
Right.
And Rachel like smacked him. She's like, "How dare you? Like I'm disappointed in you. You're like, I'm ashamed of who you've become."
Right.
And sure, he could have learned from that point, but like when he was given the option to take a life from someone for no real reason, like the person was a criminal, I think, like a thief or something. Or someone who was in the
I don't know.
But he was told to execute him, and he's like, no. Like, what authority or power do I have to take a life? Because if I do it, then I'm no different from the people who have led me to this moment.
Right.
Which was very nice. And something else that I feel like you don't get reminded of a lot in the other movies, but yeah. So once again, shocker, we have the same opinions on all but Two-Face.
These are also movies we've talked about a lot.
True. But all right, so here is an older one that kind of faded into a newer generation.
X-Men?
No.
Oh.
I didn't know what to call this trilogy because it doesn't have a name, but I'm calling it the Unbreakable trilogy.
M. Night Shyamalan's?
Yeah.
Unbreakable? Oh.
Because this is one that kind of caught us off guard, because we watched Unbreakable years ago when we were like young children, and
Right.
Split came out, and nowhere in our right mind did we think that it was going to be a sequel to a movie that we really enjoyed when we were younger, but it turned into a trilogy.
This one, it is a trilogy.
Right.
I think it's got a name. I think it's called like the Glass Trilogy.
Oh.
I don't, but it's difficult to compare them. I still think there's like a hierarchy of which ones are, laying on top of each other.
Right.
But the first Unbreakable and Split, I feel like are both equally good for very different reasons.
Okay.
Because they're both very different in like genre as well.
Yeah.
Like, actually, all three of them are. Because the third one's more action thriller-y.
Yeah.
The first one is very drama. That's really all the first movie
When you
is.
say first one, you're referring to Unbreakable?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just drama, a little bit of mystery.
Yeah.
A lot mystery, actually. And the second movie, Split, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of thriller, but it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
But to get it out of the way, Glass is the worst one.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm going to defend it. I don't think it's a bad movie.
No.
It's just not memorable, at least compared to the other two.
Yeah.
I think the ending falls short a lot. And I do think it's kind of the most poorly written of the three.
Yeah.
Because the way that they brought the two characters together felt kind of eh.
Yeah.
I honestly think there could have been a movie in between Split and Glass or something, and maybe something in the middle that brought Glass to the forefront a little bit more, about maybe a movie about him and how like his obsessions kind of like became more antagonistic and he started to like torment with people a little bit. And then that could have introduced that weird underground cult superpower hunting people or whatever they were.
The Spade or the Clover or something like that.
Yeah, and that could have like all brought all the details of the prior two movies together, and then the last movie be like, who comes out at the end.
Yeah.
But I think the third one, I think his intention was purely to leave the ending a little bit more ambiguous with that weird cult.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that one, it's a little, and the strongest part of the movie is James McAvoy's character, especially with kind of following Split and how he portrays the different personalities and stuff. See, and it's really hard to put either Unbreakable and Split over one another.
Right.
Because a biased part of me really likes Unbreakable and wants to put it on top.
Yeah.
I think it's the strongest written movie. And it's not nearly as exciting as Split, but I think it's just overall the most powerful movie. Mm-hmm. But in like a devil's advocate or like objective sense, I think that one Unbreakable has to be second. Only because what Split provides.
Yeah.
I think Split's like the most rewatchable and like interesting movie.
Yeah.
I think the ending is kind of weird. And I think there could have been a couple details that switched that up a little bit. Like how he let her go because she was broken. Like he was, because of all the scars that she had.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's the most enjoyable movie. Like you can watch it like for different occasions, whether like it's a casual viewing or maybe like something you watch on like around Halloween time, because like you kind of have this situation of, you know, these hostages and a maniac who's like all of these different personalities.
Yeah.
It's also kind of the funniest movie as well. With what's his name? Teddy?
I don't know. I always want to resort to the same name, Billy, but like essentially the etc.
Yeah, it's too good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with the exception of the ending, I think that I think Split is like just objectively the best movie.
Yeah.
And it also it's one of those movies that if you've watched it when you're watching it for the first time, there's a lot of like butt clenching moments.
Yeah, true.
Especially the intro to the movie. Like the girl getting in the car and then kind of like looking over and there's just like this random dude.
Like her dad, or I forgot the scenario. One of them
they
was
were like out at like a birthday dinner or lunch or something.
One of the dads, it was rather her dad or her friend's dad.
I think it was her friend's dad.
Yeah, he like was supposed to be in the car and she looks over and it's just some random guy.
Yeah. And it doesn't take long at all for him to knock them out. And
yeah,
it's a really interesting like way to start the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my order. It's Glass, Unbreakable, and then with a lot of reluctantly putting Unbreakable second, only because I have so much like nostalgia for that movie.
Yeah,
but objectively, Split's the best one.
So originally I was gonna agree with you, but well, actually I kind of went back and forth. But I think me personally, so I put Glass last.
Yeah,
just because there was a lot of potential, and it kind of just like it has a lot of buildup just to not go anywhere, just for like everyone to die. Right? Isn't that what happened?
Yes.
The character with multiple personalities, he died. He was killed. And then
Kevin.
And then the Unbreakable Bruce Willis's character.
Right.
I think he literally drowned.
He did.
Which is his weakness, is water.
Right. And then I think Glass dies too. Mr. Glass.
I don't remember how he did, but you're probably right.
I think he's the first to die.
Maybe. Oh, well, I wouldn't be surprised. But...
And then they did the whole thing where the cult came out on top in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, it kind of just didn't lead anywhere.
Oh, and how the doctor was a part of the cult.
Right. Like, they had all this buildup to not go anywhere.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of unfortunate, because I was really excited for that movie. I put Split second, mainly for the reasons of why. I don't know how to explain why, but the Unbreakable and Split, like you said, I think they go toe to toe for different reasons, and they're really strong in their fields. And especially for what we're interested in, mainly Split would win me over, just because it's like this psychological horror, and like you don't know what to expect, and it's like you said, butt clenching, and you're kind of like holding on to your seat for a lot of the time, because you're putting yourself in the scenario of like, okay, well, if I was kidnapped by this strange person, what would I do? And then there were a lot of times, because me personally, when I watch horror movies, I like to put myself in the situation and think, this is how I would get out of it. And in a lot of really campy horror movies, it's so easy.
Yeah.
But what's cool about Split is that they kind of answered those questions that you have in your head. Like, oh, well, what if you could persuade this personality? Oh, well, this movie's explaining to you why this personality can't be persuaded. And it goes on, and then it's like, oh, well, what if they make or break it for this exit? Well, here's why. And it like kind of answers those questions for you, so it makes you feel just as tense as the characters in the movie.
Right.
And also having that like super powered aspect is kind of cool too, like having a personality that's kind of like a Legion thing, like if anyone's a Marvel comic book fan, you know what I mean by Legion. But like having this one personality who's just like a monster, literally, not just like, he's not like a murderer or anything. He's just quite literally a beast.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes like the human bodies push its absolute limits to like bend metal, climb on all surfaces, by the way, and pupils that are so dilated it makes your eyes look black.
Yeah.
So stuff like that was just so cool. But why I think Unbreakable is number one, because again, it's really good as a drama, and it's the best written movie. But why I think it is number one is because I think it could be a universally liked movie across every fan base of movie genres.
Mm-hmm.
Because the main character in Unbreakable, and I always forget his name, but how I see him is the same way I see real life people who are not into comic books. Because he's like a very ordinary guy.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like watch superhero movies or read comic books, or he's not a nerd or anything like that. But he's kind of thrown into this scenario of becoming that thing.
Right.
Like finding out that he has the ability to not be physically harmed by literally anything but water. Which is weird because his body's made of 75% of water. And the fact that he has the ability to touch people. That's weird to say. When he does touch people, if they've committed like a certain sin, he sees like their life. And that's kind of how he picks his target. Like he finds the people who have done wrong by like touching them, and he observes their life. And then if they've committed these like acts of violent crime or something like that.
Well, he can also see if they're going to do it.
Right. He can see if they're going to do it too. So that was kind of cool. And like someone who isn't a nerd or anything, he kind of is like, okay, well, maybe I can go find someone who's educated on this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's not a super action-packed movie, and it's more emotional, and it's more of just like looking through the eyes of someone who doesn't really know what to do,
mm-hmm.
and his life is very realistic, like he's going through like a divorce, he's got like a strange relationship with his kid.
I don't think he was going through a divorce.
I think he was. Or maybe it wasn't a divorce,
I think
but
he just kind of had a touchy relationship with his wife. Not touchy.
Oh, well, either way, he was having like marital problems. Like it was a very realistic life situation.
Yeah.
So I think that just universally, like you don't have to be a comic book fan or a nerd to like this movie.
Yeah.
You could have like something that crosses that line a little bit without feeling like a punchy superhero movie.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I put it first. And also there's just moments like,
so you're just essentially saying that the first one's the most approachable movie.
yeah. And as like when it does come to the nostalgia, there's a lot of scenes that I think were really written well, like his son who like pulls the gun on him and he's like, well, if you're unbreakable, I could do this, right? And then he kind of teaches his son right then and there. It's like, you could do that, but should you do that kind of thing? And it was like a very like emotional moment.
Yeah, by saying that like, yeah, but if I'm not unbreakable, it means you just shot your dad.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's that really cool moment where he's like lifting the weights and his arms, like they can't break or anything. So he could just like hold on to as much weight as he wants.
No, he was bench pressing.
Well, right.
Every time he would like go up, he would rack the thing again. He'd tell his son to add something.
Well, right.
And he'd be like putting on like paint barrels.
Right. He was like, I don't have anything left. And he's like, do we have paint? And he just put the paint buckets on. And
yeah. And he just kept pushing more.
That was just such a cool moment. But yeah.
And then there is the interesting, juxtaposition of him being unbreakable and then Glass being the most fragile man in the world.
That was really cool too. And as a comic book writer, I've really found that to be interesting where, Glass talks about like how he believes there's always the opposite. Like with Superman, there's Lex Luthor. With the Flash, there's the Reverse Flash. Mm-hmm. I think he had a third example, and he goes, so if there's a man like me who breaks to everything and like is like his biggest weakness is everything, then there has to be someone out there who is unbreakable to everything. Like he's immune, which I thought was so interesting. My biggest question is why water?
I think it was more, I think they said it had something to do with his childhood, but it was more so a fear of water. Like he couldn't swim.
True.
Like he just knew that it's not that like if you poured water on him, he would melt. It was just like, it was more of like a realistic kind of weakness because,
which would ultimately be his doom.
Because like I think in the movie he couldn't get sick. So like the one thing that could kill him is if he drowned, he would die.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he was scared of because he knew that. And the fact that that was the case, he would never get in water and then he'd never learn how to swim. And yeah, I think when we originally saw it, we were under the impression that maybe he was too heavy. But I think it was more of like a mind trick thing.
Maybe. I don't think there's anything left to say about that one. I think we dived into that one a lot more than I thought we would.
Yeah.
I have a few more. Well, I have a lot more, but we're definitely not getting to all of them today. So I'm trying to think of which ones to talk about. You know what? I think just for the sake of time, I think we'll try to cover two more. The original X-Men trilogy.
Okay. Interesting.
And this obviously does not involve any of the Wolverine movies.
Right. It's the original.
Right.
X-Men, X2.
Yeah.
What was the third one called? X-Men 3...
Last Stand.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it was X-Men 3 Last Stand.
It's been a really long time since I've seen these movies.
I just rewatched them back to back not too long ago, so it's pretty fresh in my mind.
So, this one is kind of similar to the Blade trilogy, where there is kind of like a definitive, not a definitive, but there's a pretty universal take on this trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
The third one, I don't think the third one's nearly as bad as some people make it out to be. Especially now of all of the X-Men movies, it's definitely not the worst X-Men movie. Yeah. Of the trilogy, it's definitely the weakest.
Okay.
I don't honestly, I really don't have a lot to say about the third movie. I say the highlight of the third movie is Beast.
Okay.
He's the greatest addition to the movie.
Right.
And well performed, well written. I really like a practical take on Beast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Kelsey Grammer version was much better than the the prequel trilogy version of Beast.
Right.
The only thing is about the third movie that I actually do really like are some of the characters that they introduced in the third movie.
Got it.
I actually really liked their version of Juggernaut. He's not nearly as interesting as like what the Juggernaut could be, especially seeing how they did him in Deadpool 2.
Right.
But I really didn't mind like he doesn't have to be this giant, like, I don't know, this hulking sized thing, in the context of him being a mutant. What would Juggernaut be like?
Right.
Just a guy who can plow through shit.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. But other than that, it's kind of a forgettable movie. That I think it was interesting to kind of throw in like a Jean Grey becoming like a
Phoenix.
like their own version of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Without doing the Phoenix. You know, it's just her becoming more powerful.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, no, the Phoenix was in the movie.
was it?
This might be where I have kind of, I don't know if you want to call it an advantage, but because I watched it recently, they do have the Phoenix in the movie. It's just not as in your face as like the remake of the Dark Phoenix, but it is there.
Gotcha.
But continue.
Anyways, I just don't think it's just not the strongest movie. The first one I put in the middle because similar to the Blade, I probably have the exact same thing to say as I did the Blade. The first one did enough to set up the franchise.
Right.
It did a great job of introducing the characters in a modern way that feel like they could live in the real world. It did a good job implementing the important thing about the mutants, again, like living alongside humans. I think they introduced some love interests in the first movie that didn't have a payoff very well and also didn't pay off very well in the later movies. But it's also the slowest of the three movies. It's kind of the least eventful of the three movies, with the exception of like the bank scene and the Statue of Liberty scene or sequences, I guess. That's really all I have to say. And I also think the first movie's too grungy.
Oh.
For an X-Men movie.
Okay.
Like it could have been pulled back a little bit and felt more real.
Yeah.
It's just too dark and too grungy, I think.
Interesting.
The second movie is the best of the trilogy. And again, not just my opinion. It's like objectively the best of the three. Mm-hmm. It's the best written. Character development's the most interesting. Set pieces are the most interesting. You know, the execution of like characters and how they fit in the world and how they interact with each other is all the best. It does have grunge, but it has it at the right moments. More specifically, when they go into, you know, like the bunker where all the Weapon X people are. And
right.
That's where it needs to feel grungy in moments like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I think William Stryker wasn't, I don't think they've ever gotten him right. I would really like to see a comic booky version of Stryker where he's like that skinny, bald-headed.
Well, technically Stryker isn't real. Because in the comics, his name isn't even Stryker. It's something else, and
I know, but
I know what you're saying.
But in the context of the Fox's X-Men universe, that's who Stryker is,
right?
But I don't think the actor's a great actor. I just don't think he was the best choice for Stryker, nor do I think any of the other choices of Stryker were great. Mm-hmm. It's just the best movie. It's of the X-Men. Actually, it's probably like in the top 3 of the best X-Men movies. Yeah. I really do have to go and rewatch those. There's only one X-Men movie of all of them that I actively rewatch, and it's Logan.
Oh yeah.
And that's not even really an X-Men movie. That's just a Wolverine movie.
A lot of people might... Well, I don't know how they would react to what I'm going to say.
Okay.
But I probably have one of the most controversial takes on the initial trilogy of the X-Men.
Are you going to say the third one's the best one?
No.
Oh.
But it's not the worst one.
Mm.
But not for the sake of like any of... Okay, I don't think any of them are bad at all. I've never understood, especially rewatching the third one, I've never understood the hate for the third one. Like, with a fresh pair of adult man eyes watching the third one, I can't think of one thing of why people wouldn't like that movie. Not one. It feels very, like, it's a lot more clean, and there's a lot more CGI that's used compared to, like, the first two movies, but it kind of just feels like a sequel of the second one.
The third one is the one that has the intro of the Sentinel fight, right?
Yeah.
I really like that sequence.
Me too. It wasn't a real Sentinel. It was,
no, I know. It's
but
like a training simulation.
The only gripe that I have about the third one, which isn't really that big of a deal because it doesn't like take up the whole, like it doesn't distract me from the movie, is the love triangle between Bobby, Kitty, and Rogue.
Right next to the love triangle of Wolverine, Jean, and Cyclops. Again.
Well, but that's something across all media.
Yeah.
But
I just feel like I've never cared for the whole Logan and Jean thing.
I don't either. That's not someone who I pair him with or ship him with or whatever you want to call it. For me, it's always been Scott Summers, Jean Grey. That's it.
Yeah.
Just leave those two alone, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
But
I'm more with Logan. I like him and Dakin's mom.
Yeah.
I like a very tasteful, like kind of back in the 30s.
Yeah, just a
Japanese woman. Like I think that's a cool Logan relationship.
Yeah. But okay, but for a movie in general, especially like based on the war between, humans and mutants and all this stuff and diversity, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
It still does everything an X-Men movie is supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to Jean Grey and the Phoenix, which it's more of a metaphor than anything for the most part, like the Phoenix, because it's not like the same Phoenix Force that it's supposed to be. But they do state that there is something in Jean that's like not her, because like her reawakening is like a Phoenix reference on its own, like her coming back as something new.
Yeah.
But they make it very clear that Jean is not the only one there. Like there's something else, and Jean is more just being manipulated by this third party. Thing, kind of like a Eddie Brock symbiote or Peter Parker symbiote kind of thing.
Right.
But it still works really well, and she's like really intimidating, and I think it's like pretty cool, especially for the things that she's able to do. Like, there are things that she's always been able to do, but with this Phoenix thing, she's just letting it happen. And so I know I've been talking about the third one, but it's actually number 2 on my list. Like in the middle. So I'm not saying it's the worst movie.
Okay.
But it's number 3 on my list. Is the first one. Because it does, for the first movie, there's periodic moments that I look forward to watching. But the whole movie itself, I kind of just wait. I'm kind of just waiting for things to happen.
Right.
Like, I mean, sure, I've seen it so many times, but I'm more of just like, I could easily fast forward to the parts that I really like.
Yeah.
And then
keep talking. I'm going to look something up. I'm listening though.
Yeah, it's more of just moments that I really like, and I'm kind of just waiting for it to be over so that I can move over to the next movie. So for me, it's from least to greatest. It's at 1, 3, and 2. 2 for all the like same reasons, like it's a universally liked movie. It feels the most X-Men out of the trilogy. I like the third one way more than everyone else does, clearly, which I could say about another trilogy. And the first one, it's good. It's just, I don't want to sound harsh. I just don't know how else to say it. I'm kind of bored in the first one. And I don't care what anyone says. I do not like at all Sabretooth.
Oh, I agree.
I've never liked that version of Sabretooth.
That's the one thing about X-Men Origins. That's like the best thing that came out of X-Men Origins.
I love that Sabretooth.
It's Liam Shriver as...
He literally acts and portrays Sabretooth how he's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be like this robotic...
Acts like a...
Like servant.
Yeah.
Acts
like a big dog.
And Sabretooth has never taken well to orders.
Yeah.
He's never really been one to like follow instructions.
He's always supposed to be... He's kind of supposed to be very maniacal and evil.
He's kind of like Loki in a way. He's kind of like someone who you think they're on your side or they're going to do what you tell them to do, but watch your back because he will shred it when he gets the chance.
Right. Which is why in a lot of the comic books, he's usually by himself.
Yeah, because he doesn't take well. And even when he is on teams, like more than likely, he's not going to be doing what you're telling him to do. It's just allowing everyone else to be distracted so that he can get one-on-one time with Logan.
Yeah.
Which he enjoys. So, and especially knowing Wolverine's origin, Sabretooth's very faded origin, and Daken's origin, you know that Sabretooth is a lot more sadistic than what we get in the X-Men trilogy movies.
Yeah.
So, no, I do not like that Sabretooth at all. And it's such a buzzkill every single time I see him. And, I mean, sure, I guess that's the one thing about both Sabretooths is that one has the looks, one has the attitude.
Yeah.
We need a Sabretooth that has both.
Plus, you can't ask for a whole lot of a wrestler to portray a really good Sabretooth.
But yeah, so for me, it's 1, 3, 2.
And also, 2, David Hayter wrote it. Solid Snake.
Yeah.
Wrote X-Men.
Which is so weird.
Metal Gear. Sorry.
But...
Otacon.
All right, so I definitely have way more than... Because I didn't know how long it was going to take for us to get to my list.
Right.
But at least we have potential for part 2, maybe even a part 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll save those for later.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it'd be nice to start doing like activities to kind of give us like a prompt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that all of our episodes, at least the ones that I'll be hosting, they're not all going to be ranking stuff. I will have that on the back of my mind every now and then, but I'll never do it back to back. But I just thought it gave us something to like focus on, and kind of like the controversy thing. I was trying to go somewhere with that, and I think I kind of...
I like where the idea came from, but I think we executed that one a little rocky.
Maybe we'll do a take 2 in season 2 or something.
Or maybe not.
But that will be it for today.
It was nice to be back.
Yeah. We haven't done this in a while. Well, we talk all the time, but like...
Right.
We haven't done this in a while.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can have some more intriguing and engaging conversation or activities in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we'll just do a lot of planning for season 2, so at least it'll have a good head start. It doesn't really matter unless you guys chime in, give us your opinions, comments, whatever it is that you do on your end, aside from listening. You selfish bastards. No, I'm just kidding.
Anyways. Well, we're back, and this episode will probably be coming out Thursday, right before Brennan plays Kronos, finally.
Yep. Finally. Jeez.
So,
Louise.
Anyways, I've been your host, Aaron.
And I've been your host, Brandon.
And we will see you guys, hopefully, in the next episode.
Peace.